Hello everyone, this is Christian Mud Exiton Interactive, and by the time we are done with this video, these crazy images here will make hopefully a bit more sense. What we're focusing on in this video is navigation between the different controls in the user interface, and whether that navigation be through button or through the keyboard. We have different flows based on the two, and obviously different flows whether the user is logging in or registering. So we can take a look at the end here. What we'll end up with is a control or a interface that will animate correctly. Copy those and back and forth. You know, if you, how do I managed to, I guess I selected it all but did not paste it. So you have it correct. If everything's correct, it will animate back and forth. If it's incorrect, you can click the buttons, say on the username, take you to password, click the buttons back and forth. Same thing happens on, of course, the username. Whether you use the keyboard or whether you use the buttons, we'll navigate to where we want to be. So I think that gives a little overview of what we're going to take care of in this video. All right, let's get started. So let's start with going into the control group.ts file. And we're going to modify our animations here. So I'm going to go down to the helper, the private helper methods that we created previously. And basically what I want to do in here is just to return the animations so that we can do something with them. So we're going to return the animations from both the hide group to the left or right and show group from left or right methods. And with that done, we can go up, start with the hide group methods. So we'll say hide group to the left. We're going to change this to be constant animation is equal to this. The reason why we're doing this is that we want to say that when the animation finishes, so on finish, we want to apply our hide group class. So this dot hide group. And we're going to do the exact same thing down here. We'll say const animation and animation dot on finish. This dot hide group. Perfect. So that takes care of what we need to do in terms of hiding them. So let's handle showing. Showing is a little bit different in that we want to, or we need to remove the hide class before we do any of the animations. So at the top of both of these, we'll just say show group. Go down here before I forget. And I do want to actually make a change here, or the same deal with the animations. And const animation equals this. We'll say animation dot on finish. What I want to do when a group is finished with its show animation is to focus the input. And we'll do the same thing down here. Const animation. Oops. And animation dot on finish. This dot focus. Perfect. Now we go to the control pair.ts file. And what we're going to do is modify the show group method. So right now, show group, all it's doing is essentially removing the hide class. So we want to do a little bit more within this. Could make another method, I guess, but I didn't. We're just going to modify this. So what I want to be able to do is just say show this group, and the pair will take care of hiding the other one. It'll know which direction it should be showing from, so we don't have to say it. So the first thing we're going to do is modify up here. We'll say const group is equal to this, and it'll just be equal to the result of the find method call. Next we'll say if group, if that's equal to this dot left, then what we want to do is to say group dot show group from the left, and we'll take this dot right and we will hide group to the right. Else we do the opposite, group dot show group from right, and we'll say this dot left dot hide group to left. Save that. Next thing, we go to the authenticator.component.ts file, and what we'll do is we'll just modify for the moment the on-click group button method. Okay, so we were in here, we were saying, if you click, if you're on the if you're on the email button, you click the email button, we'll hide that button and we'll show the confirm. So what we can do now is we can get rid of all of the hide statements. It's going to be taken care of for us. And we actually want to reduce these to just show. All right, save that. Back to our browser here and cross our fingers. So we have the animation working correctly, on the password, confirm password. We can see the emails. So that all seems to be working correctly. So let's go back and let's take a look at these images here. So what we want is to have sort of a control flow from the username, in the case of login, username to password to email to remember me, and then to either of the buttons. Register is username to password to confirm password, email, confirm email, then it goes to the buttons. Right? So we want to start instituting that flow real quick. So, or I don't know real quick, but that's what we want to do. So let's go and back here to our authenticator.component. Actually, we want to be right here with it. What I'm going to do is to cut this out of here. And I'm going to say this dot next. I'm going to create a method called next control, and we're going to pass the key into it. And of course, the reason why we're making this method next control is we also want to use it not only when the user clicks a button, but user uses the tab button or the enter key. So we'll want to use it in different places. So we want to create, what was I doing? Next control. So we want a private next control. We'll take in the key. Just paste that in. We're going to use this switch here, so we'll save a little bit of time. So the first control that we want to deal with here is case this dot control username key. So they're on the username. And let's put the break in. So regardless of whether you're logging in or registering, if you're on the username, we want to go to the password. So this control pair collection dot show group. This dot control password group ID. So we'll go to password. Now we'll do, I guess they're out of order compared to my notes. Let's put them up here. So we're on the password. If we're doing if it's login, so this dot is login. Where do we want to go? We want to go to the remember me. So this dot control pair collection dot focus. This dot control remember me group ID. Say else if this dot is register, and is register we want to go to the confirm. So let's just move that up in there. All right. So if we're on the password confirm, then by definition we are in registering, and what we want to do is, for the moment, we'll go back and forth here, we'll modify it, but for the moment we're just going to say control email group ID. Group ID. If we're on the email, then again we're registering, so we'll go to the confirm group, email confirm, so that stays the same. And email. So do need to modify my notes a bit. At least for the moment, we're going to assume that if this is an email, if you're on the email, then, or the email confirm, we're going to assume, well, not assume, we know that we're on the register. And what we want to do in that case is then go to one of the buttons. And the way that we're going to decide which button to go to is we'll say if this.authForm.valid. So if the form is valid, we'll go to the button sendDom.focus. Else it's this.button resetDom.focus. And we're getting there. Next we need to deal with the remember me. So we'll have the case of this.control remember me key. And in here we're just going to go to the, so we're logging in. From there you go to the button. We're going to not copy and paste here in the end, but for a moment we're just going to copy and paste. So now we've created our next method that we're calling just from the buttons. And I guess in principle we should be able to test it. So if I'm on the username, I click on it, I go to the password, confirm password, email, confirm email, reset. So the flow is working correctly. Of course, we are not always just going to go in one direction. So we need a previous control method as well. So let's go down and make that. It's not where I want to be. Kind of want things to be in alphabetical order to make it easier to find, and that should come after login. Okay, and now let's create our private previous control. Let's key. Do our usual switch. All right. So we want to say that case this.control password key. Doesn't matter whether you're registering or logging in. We're still going to go back to the username. And next we'll do case this control password confirm key. So if you're a confirm key, then you're registering. So we'll say this control pair collection dot show group this dot control password group ID. Of course, it's the same deal. Well, let's do the email. So case this dot control email key. Still we're registering, so control pair collection dot show group, and we want this control password confirm. So we'll go back to the password confirm control case this control email confirm key. So we just want to go back to the email. Help me out here. Control email group ID. And let's do remember me. So case this dot control remember me key. This dot control pair collection. Show group. This dot control password group ID. So on remember me, we will go back to the so you're logging in. So we'll go back to the password group. Break case this dot button reset key, and we'll say so if this dot is login. If you're logging in, you'll go back to the remember me. So we'll just focus this dot control remember me ID. Come on. Else, we will do this dot control. So you're registering. Let's show the control email confirm group ID. break in. And last but not least, we need this button send key, where you're going there. So you probably don't even need to. The browser would probably take care of it on its own. Or maybe not. Maybe we're intercepting it. Who knows? But either way, we're going back to the reset button if you're on the send button. All right, so let's make use of that going backwards, so previous control. And to do that, we're going to go down to the tab or enter method. Make a few changes for here. So if you're on the username control and you hit tab or enter without holding the shift key, we're just going to call next control and pass in the key. Perfect. So what we can do is get rid of most of this stuff, so it's sort of interior to the control. So let's get rid of it all the way to the reset button. And the reset button and the send button will have the same behavior, so we'll just condense that down. And for if the user is holding down the shift key, we will just call this .previous control, pass in the key, and then prevent default if they're not. Being false, so the browser will take care of tabbing after that. And we needed to take care of the stuff that we just removed, and we can do that basically using the default case. Let me just copy it in. It's very simple. If they're holding the shift key, we go back to the previous control. If they're not, we go to the next control. All right, so let me save that. I think we already saw that the next was working. I'm just going to hit tab here. So that's seems to be, well, we'll avoid for the moment that we'll take care of that. I just tabbed into the username and it does not have a right group, so it can't hide it. But at least it's, the motion is working. Let's go back here. We'll hit tab. We're going there. Shift tab seems to be working. Same deal. We'll avoid that. But we can see here, though, that we do have this case that, the username, I hit tab, I go to password, and it animates the password group in. And we want to take care of that. What we want to do is prevent it from animating it if that group is already shown. So we're going to go to the control pair here, and we're going to add another field up here, private, and I called it active ID. It's going to be a string. We'll just say null. What we'll do is come down here to the show group method, and we're going to modify this here a bit. We'll say if this.activeID, and I need to go back up there and set that. So it needs to start off being set in the constructor. What we'll do is say this.activeID is equal to this.left.id. Perfect. Back to show group. We'll say, so what's happened is the active ID is equal to the ID is passed in. All we're going to do is say group.showGroup. Probably don't need to. That show group call will just make sure that the hide class is not applied to it. So probably don't need to do that, but that's okay. And then we'll just say this.focus, and we'll just refocus the input. Or we'll just focus the input instead of animating it in. And one thing that a mistake I made when practicing on this is, of course, we have to set that ID at some point. So we'll say active ID is equal to ID. Save that. All right, let's go back and take a look. So we'll start off in account or the login. So if I hit tab, works correctly. Shift tab. Let's go ahead. Right? So everything's taken care of. No errors when we go to the username. Let's go back here to register. We're in password. We'll go to confirm password, email, confirm email. And it works. So far hitting the buttons as well. All right. So we're good there. Let's go back to Visual Studio. And first thing we're actually going to do is take a look at some more pictures, more images. Because of course life is not as simple as we just made it. or I guess in one case it is. So if the user is logging in, we have these different diagrams here. One is the top two here for if the user is using the keyboard, and bottom two is if the user is using the buttons. The red arrow means this is where we're going to go if the control that we're going from is invalid. And green, of course, is valid. So when the user is logging in, if they're using the keyboard, nothing is different. You know, the paths are the same. And we want to note that we want to have, regardless of whether all the controls are valid or invalid, we'll want to have a pathway to the reset button, again, if the user is using the keyboard. So login is taken care of. On the register, username to password is the same. Of course, if the password is invalid, we'll go to email. If that's invalid, we'll go down to the reset button. If the username is, if we're in the password, if it's valid, we go to the confirm password. If that's invalid, then we'll go back to the password, and we'll keep going back and forth until the confirm is valid. Then we'll go to email, do the back and forth, and then go to the buttons. Right? In the case of the user using buttons to navigate, the little arrows here are just indicating that if you hit the button and this control is invalid, we'll just refocus the username. If the password is invalid, you hit the button, we'll just refocus the password. Right? And then we have this control flow if they are valid. Sort of same deal here, refocus, refocus, refocus. If the username is valid, we go to password, then we go to confirm password. Regardless of whether the confirmed password is valid or not, we'll always return to the password. Doesn't matter, again, if it's valid or invalid, always go back to the password. Same thing for the confirm email. All right. So let's start implementing that. And let's scroll down. Let's go to the authenticator.component.ts file and on-click group button method to start with. All right, no longer is so simple. What we need is a switch for it. Key. Perfect. All right, so if we have the case that this control password confirm key, if it's the confirm, either of the confirm keys, the behavior is the same. Control email confirm key. All we want to do is to go to the previous control, right? So go back to the password or go back to the email control. Break. Next or last, I guess we'll have is the default case. Put my break in here. We'll have const control. Control is equal to this, and we'll index using the key, and that's of course a form control. We'll say if and control dot invalid. So if it's invalid, again, all we want to do is refocus. So let's say this control pair collection dot focus. Which one? We'll use our mapping to tell us which group to focus, and we're going to head and return there. Otherwise, we will just say this dot next control, pass in the key. I think that should take care of, sort of scared to check, but it should take care of the behavior for the buttons. So I'm on login. If I click the button, it just refocus, or I'm on the username. Just click the button, it'll refocus because it's not valid. Let's go down. Oh, we got the password. Refocuses the password. Yeah, password done. Takes us to remember me, so that works. Password. Valid. We can get back to it, and I guess actually let me just copy this. If we go and we copy, it's the same, so now it's valid. Still we go back, so that's working. Oop, I was testing the buttons, not the tab. And whatever, I'll have to update that. And perfect. So it's still the behavior is what we want on that part. So next, I'm going to create a little helper method. Let's go down here. We already saw a couple times where we had to decide which of the buttons we're going to go to. So we're going to create a little focus button method. And just copy this in, save just 5 seconds of time. And copy in the wrong space, so save absolutely no time. So the auth form, if it's valid, we go to the send button. If it's invalid, we go to reset button. So that'll help us. Let's go to the next control method again. All right, username's fine. Don't have to change anything there. And password key, logging in is fine. We're going down here to registering. What we'll say is that if this control password, if it's valid, then we go to the confirm like we were previously doing. Else, this control pair collection show group, and where are we at? Password, we'll show this control email group ID. Oops. Yeah, that's correct. So if it's invalid, we're on the password. If it's invalid, we want to go to the email. So that's working. Let's go back to the password, or go to the password confirm. We'll say if this control password confirm, if that's valid, then we want to go to the email. Else we'll go backwards, right? Control pair collection dot show group. Yeah, we could go backward, right? I know I'm on the password confirm key. We could use previous, but whatever. We know it. Control password group ID. All right. We'll go to email. So email if this dot control email dot valid. We'll go to the confirm. Of course, for right now, we know that if we're on email, then we're registering. That's just for the moment. Next, we'll say this dot focus button. So if we're on the email control, it's invalid. We want to go to. Actually, we know it's invalid. We could just put reset button, but we'll keep it that way. And email confirm key. What we want. Oh, well, first off, we can make that to be focused, but we'll say if this dot control email confirm dot valid, then we'll just say this dot focus button. Else this dot control pair collection, and we want to show the this dot control email group. Perfect. And what happens next? Remember me, that just gets confirmed, changed to this dot focus button. And we move on to the previous control. Password's fine. We always want to go back to the username, and we'll go to the email, which is now, yep. So email, what I want to do is if, we'll say this dot control password dot valid. Then what we want to do is to go to the control pair collection, show group, and this dot control. We'll go to the password confirm if the password is valid. Else, I guess that was what I was doing previously. Otherwise, what we want to do is to just go to the password. And we need to modify the button reset key. Logging in is fine. And we need to do registering. So if this, same deal. So control email. If that is valid, go back. Valid. Then we want to go to the confirm. Otherwise, we will go to show group, this dot control email group ID. Save that. Once again, I'm going to cross my fingers that everything is working correctly. So we just did a lot of changes to the previous, so the only way to get there is use tab. So let's just use tab key. That's working correctly. Going back. Of course, nothing should be different. Oh, we're registering. I thought I was on the login, but so let's make made up password here. Copy that. We'll tab. Went to the right spot. Put the right one in. Down to email. Perfect. Go back. Let's put another A on the end. We'll need to tell it to update. And ship tab takes me back. Tab takes me back. Yeah, so that's working. Let's put another A here. B, it's invalid. We'll go back. So everything seems to be working. Sort of contemplate whether I want that behavior or not, but we're going to keep it. I think then that will take care of it for this video. The next video, I think we're going to focus on the forgot username, forgot password behavior. Of course, right now all it does is just animate in and out. So we need to hide some stuff, show some other things, change some text. So that will be what we handle in the next video. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. I know that your time is valuable. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and click the thumbs up button, as well as share the video with your friends. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And once again, thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.